Welcome and good afternoon to our HR Business Services Committee meeting for the month of September. It is Tuesday, September 10th, and it's 4:31 p.m. So let's get started. We have no guest presentations for this meeting, and we'll move on to our departmental reports. And we'll start out with human resources, and we have some great news in human resources. As we look at the month of August, we see a number of new hires in both certified and non-certified staff, and then we see much fewer retirements, resignations, and leaves of absences, which we'd always like to see. So we continue to hire for important positions through the month of August for both certified and non-certified staff. The HR department conducted a new hire orientation on Tuesday the 20th, and they provided three separate hours of training sessions for 38 new non-certified staff and 64 certified staff. All teachers also received their Chromebooks, so they were ready to walk into the classroom that important Monday. In August, Molly Meader, the human resource assistant, she processed the new hire paperwork. Take a minute to think about this, for 65 new staff. So she did in August 65 new staff. That's incredible. She made sure that their staff were properly entered into our system. They had their employee badges, network access, and processed their I-9s and their W-4s. This is a much improved process, and I know Human Resources has been spending a lot of time on that. It is one of our desired daily experiences for our strategic plan to make sure that we are continually improving processes. As part of this improvement in our processes, the payroll group developed a verification report which will save a tremendous amount of time on timesheet accuracy. So this is just another example of how the district continually improves its processes so we can serve our students and our staff much better. Over the year, the Human Resources have been in the process of digitizing all of our employment records, which is huge because we have quite a bit of employment records, I would imagine. So these files are digitized, and now employees can have, certain employees can have full access to these files, these digitized files as Laserfiche. And then as we move through our new hire process, we're working on digitizing that entire process so we can move away from paper and make sure that we continually improve our systems. We do this because it's climate friendly, it's future forward, and it makes sure to expedite our processes so we can better serve our employees. Human Resources has assumed the responsibility of managing the teacher evaluation system. This is just another way that we continually improve our systems. As part of this transition, staff spent many days as they entered the new hire data, ensuring accuracy of probationary and tenured statuses for our teachers, where these teachers are assigned, and making sure that our systems are accurate. The system cleanup was imperative so that our principals have accurate information so that when they do these teacher evaluation, that they can provide the best information to the teachers. So this should ensure a smoother process going forward. And then to think back on such a great day we had on August 19th at our Unity in Our Community, we had the HR team had a job table at our Unity and Community event. And again, attended the Career Force Monthly Hiring Fair on September 4th, and both of these events were beneficial for the district, especially to speak to potential employees, particularly in the transportation positions, as those are positions that we'll talk about later in the transportation report where we still need quite a bit of support. The benefits department has started using Google Classrooms for our new hire benefit information in a way so that we can make sure our new hires have access to the information that they need. This also cuts down on employee questions and makes sure that they continually have access to this information. So lastly, we talk about contract negotiations, and we're excited to announce that negotiations were completed with the National Conference of Firemen and Oilers. So we should have a tentative agreement that will be brought forward to the full board for approval this September. And we are continuing to meet with our district-wide Instructional Administrators Association. And this is our final group to negotiate our 2023-2025 cycle. So that's wonderful information. Are there any questions on the HR report?
Just for thank you. Just for clarification, hourly employees, do they fill out a sign sheet for their time, or is that a time clock? Just curious.
Are you referring to any hourly employee for their workday to be paid correct? There's time clocks that they badge in, or they can take the new number.
Are there any other questions? Oh, No worries, I was just, we were just talking about the virtues of the HR department and the continual progress and improvement, so thank you for all the work that you did, what a great report it is.
I do have a quick question.
Yes.
I just thought of, because I think it's interesting to think about using the Google Classroom for the benefits. So what did that look like before? Using Google Classroom for benefits?
I am not a Google Classroom savvy person. Our benefits team took that on before it was all paper. So there was nothing electronic. So this was kind of their attempt to get it in a space where everybody could have access to it. There was some online digital maybe several years ago, but it was more of just a video that played, like a PowerPoint video. But now they're putting it more interactively into the Google Classroom.
Yeah. I think it's cool that there's some videos just about the medical leave and the workers' comp process. Oftentimes when those things happen, you don't expect it to happen, and so then to have that information easily accessible is really nice.
Just a continuation of great work that you and your department have been doing, so thank you, Executive Director Severance. All right, moving on, we have our HR report done, so let's move on to business services. Our enrollment report, again, that will resume in October 2024 once we've had a full month of class for our kids. So that'll return next month. So let's move on to our child nutrition departmental report. And I just love this report when we look at the summer meal 10-year comparison. And we look at how many meals that we are serving our community. So for 2024, we served around 9,000 breakfasts and we served around 19,000 lunches. So that's great. That's great for our community to have access to that food. And I know that my kids have walked up to Piedmont Elementary on time and grabbed some lunch and some breakfast. So it's great. As we look at the summer meal count, we see quite a few areas in the city where kids can access that nutrition. And the only place I think we didn't have it this year was at Lowell because of the work that was going on. Construction. Yeah, the construction. So this is a great report. Do we have, and I also want to lift up our nutrition department for two separate things. The summer meal program audit, that 3-day USDA summer meal program audit that was completed at the end of July and early August. The findings in that audit were minimal, and it was an opportunity for program membership for other districts from the auditor, and it was greatly appreciated. And the auditor was very complimentary of our meal program and impressed with the vast array of fresh produce that we offer for our children. And I know that is something that we're intentional about through USDA grants and grants through, I don't remember where else. Yeah.
Well, I'm asking Sheila Oak to come to our committee of the whole meeting in October. She'll present the findings of the audit, and then I'll ask her to speak to all that too. And I think it would be a great introduction to new members and have fun. So you'll all see her next month.
That's awesome. And the second thing I wanted to compliment nutritional services for was I had no reports coming back from my 10th grader and my 5th grader that there was any snafu in the lunch line now that we moved over to the new system. So it seemed to go very well that first week, so I want to compliment them.
Thank you. Between transportation and food service, it's been a lot, but we're getting it done.
All those continuous improvements, right? And then lastly, and I believe I received that postcard, did you too, Member Sadowski? All families in the district to talk about how lunch was free again, and also to talk about the application for educational benefits. So it was great to see that postcard. And I love the teeny tiny postcard because that's probably cheaper to ship than some of those big things. So that's great, I love that. And child nutrition is no longer using PayPams for the online application or payment option. This is the changeover. They'll now be done on the parent portal on Infinite Campus. I think that's great. The more we can use that same system for all the different things parents do, I think it just makes it easier. Do we have any questions on the nutrition?
Just one minor, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna add, I think that's great to kind of streamline the payment for the meals, the extras, I guess, getting rid of PayPals, so.
Just to comment that having been out to sites quite a bit in the past couple of weeks and stopping in quite often in the cafeteria, because it's a nice place to see kids and chatting with the nutritional service employees that we have. I think the first day there was a little bit of nervousness about how we're going to get the kids through the system, but very quickly dissipated. And it was anytime something new, it could be a challenge, but I really appreciate what they undertook to make it happen, and I think it went really well. So thanks to Simone and Sheila and the rest of the team.
I think about the poor little kiddos having to memorize their new lunch numbers. I think that's stressful that first week to get all that done. So, great news. Moving on to our facilities department. We see that our facilities department is working very, very diligently. We're happy to announce that the Lincoln Park pool resurfacing and all of the motor pump, VFD installation, the sand filters, everything is up and running. We have a few punch list items remaining, but I'm assuming that our sixth and our 8th graders take swimming. I'm assuming that they'll be ready for our middle schoolers. Lowell Elementary chem damage has been repaired. We're waiting for a final sign off from insurance. We have dry sprinkler systems in Lincoln Park and Ordine. Myers Wilkins has completed their parking lot curb reset. Lowell got its new flooring. Lowell also had its temporary art room completed. That's great to hear. Laura Mack had flooring been installed. The lighting at public school stadium, we should probably update the name of the public school stadium there. That's great. The stadium lighting has been updated. Lester Park, I'm sure they're happy to have room 130 to be able to use as a classroom, as they probably need as much space as they can. Stowe's got their lockers. Parking lot's been sealed and painted. I saw that up at Piedmont. Rock Ridge has been surveyed and the problematic tree area harvested and removed. Ooh, that's a great line. What were the problematic tree areas?
There was a group of trees on the other side of kind of the driveway loop there that we had one fall over and into someone else's yard. So we wanted to make sure that we cleared that so there would be no potential for it to go into the residents there.
That's impressive you can remember all that, by the way. Great.
And as long as I mentioned, I just want to make a comment of your next on the building operations. I see that hasn't been updated. So I just wanted to point out, if you don't mind, that, and give a big shout out actually to our buildings operations staff, because they did work really hard over the summer to make sure the buildings were clean and ready for the students. I think they did a really excellent job, even being somewhat short-staffed. And with the changes that we made, I think it was at our last board meeting, we were able to fill those positions that we have been trying to fill, the higher level positions because of the licensure change, so that we can now start hiring in additional custodians to help support that work. So they're doing a great job.
And again, that's just another example where we're trying to make things accessible and easy and drop barriers so that we can staff all of our positions for our kids to go to school in great, clean buildings. So thank you for that work. We're still working on filling some engineer 2 positions at Lowell and Myers Wilkins, some second shift engineer positions at Lincoln Park and Ordine, and also at Lakewood, Lormac, and Lester Park, and also a custodian at East and Denfeld. So we're still looking for positions, but I believe it's going much smoother than it has previously. All right, so that is the facilities report. Do we have any questions for Executive Director Severance on facilities? Got the problematic trees figured out, so we're gonna be good. All right, moving on to technology. Bart, would you like to come up?
Sure. And as Bart makes his way to the table, Chair, can we also discuss maybe a modification of the agenda? I know Mr. Smith has an appointment and he has to leave at 5:15, and we definitely want to make sure that he's available to discuss the job description. So if there's an opportunity to
Yes.
rotate items, that would be appreciated.
Would it work then just to take under the consent agenda that job description for network admin? Would you like to go through your report and then just go through that job description?
Sure, I can go through my report.
Yes.
That'd be great, yeah.
So for the August 2024 report, technology report, as you can see, our Gmail's picking up because with staff coming back, and now next month it'll have our students in there as well, so we pick up quite a bit. And these numbers already have our Zix pre-filtering in front of them. So they're actually, the numbers are lower than previous years, just because they're screening out a lot of stuff that would be rejected by ZICS. And now, counter information is also increasing. This was before most of the students had their accounts created, so we'll see that pick up a lot for next month's report. Let's looking at anything. For E-rate bids, I did put on there, they're going to be going out for 4. I've been working with Kathy in purchasing to get bid numbers. So I have all the bid numbers. 3 of the bids are already written up. And I won't be able to post until I think it's the 16th or the 19th of this month on USAC's website. So I'm holding up for that, and then we have to have it out on USAC's website for 28 days. So I coordinate that with Kathy for the opening date and stuff like that for the bid openings. So it'll be going to the board probably in December, I'm thinking now. Our help desk tickets, we have 732 that were created this month, 551 are resolved, 364 remain unresolved, and today when I looked at our open tickets, we have roughly 430 that are just every day. That's how many tickets we see for the start of the school year. Let's see, we still have remaining 2023 summer project, which is this boardroom. They're going to be here next week on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Try to get it sooner, so they could get in sooner, so we'd have the board meeting working and streaming. As soon as they could get in was the 18th, so they'll be up here on the 18th. And then for the 2024 projects, the switch installation, which was bid 1316, they finished up 2 weeks ago. We're still dealing with some of the minor configurations of those switches. We're having some network issues across the district, so we've been working with CDWG and consultants to get those resolved on that. Another big,
Can you just go into just a little detail on a couple of those projects, like the camera systems and so forth, so we can give an example of we have been working on those things, and you have some exciting news today to share, at least with regards
yeah,
to.
we do. We work with the CDWG to get a level 3 network engineer in to work with Dan this morning, and he was able to fix or resolve the cameras, security cameras at the middle schools and high schools. So tomorrow we'll be working on the elementaries to get those up. That's a priority item for Dan and the team, is get those cameras up and running, security cameras.
Thank you.
And
That's good.
then he'll be looking at the switches that were put in and seeing why we have some just strange issues with the phones, we have some strange issues with time clocks, just some random issues, and we think it is potentially all related to the switch upgrade on that. So. The next one is the Art Data Center move, which is still scheduled for Friday, October 18th, and that's MEA weekend. So we're not expecting any impact for staff. My staff will be working that whole weekend, while actually just a small team of my staff dealing with the move. So we're moving all of our equipment on 6th Avenue East to the Tech Village Drive in Volta Data Center. So
To where?
it's the tech, I think it's Technology Drive, our facility. And it's actually be right behind UHG where we were before, so it's right back there. So that's actually moving everything core to our district up there for that time. The last time was the technology, Google footprint. And then it's interesting because it's actually down. So it's reporting to July, which makes sense after I look at it. That's when most people are away for our district. So the use of services for the Google were down. So that ends my report.
And then the last piece is just that new classification of it. Is this for the network architect and administrator, that job description, correct?
It is, and Director Severance will share
Okay.
some information related to it.
So the job description that you have before you is actually a revision from our network administrator position. And we're fortunate enough that Mr. Smith actually served in this position when he was earlier in his career with the district, so he can speak to more specific questions about it. But you may recall, maybe it never came this far, but we did have some discussion about changing our previous network engineer position to an architect that never moved forward. So the work still needs to be completed, and what we've done is we've updated our network admin to include some of this so it's a working supervisor, so that we not only have supervisory support for Mr. Smith in his department, as well as someone that can be working hands-on doing the network pieces. So there is a little bit elevated work here with the network architect, and you'll see some of those duties added in, as well as the supervisory duties that already existed with the administrator.
So this is a different position, excuse me, than the network engineer too? So is this a different?
Correct, different position, different bargaining unit. So this position actually would supervise the network architect, or the network engineer 2, the network engineer 1, and there's several other titles that kind of fall into that same network engineer.
All right, that makes sense. And then that, okay, yep, that makes sense to me. Do we have any questions? Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and then, let me get back over here. And then move on to our transportation report, and I just want to lift up the transportation department as we had a much smoother first week of school. It really did seem to do great, so all the hard work I know that you prepared for through the summer and previously paid off, because I got no crazy bus stories when the kids came home, so thank goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been very quiet on
Yes.
the bus front in my house.
Yes.
I know, we're gonna keep it
Kudos.
going.
And then also, I received no email, nothing as a school board about busing, so it was great.
I was just gonna also add, the Parent Square app was really helpful in like accessing some of this information that I needed for the first day of school as a parent. It was nice to have a lot of it in one spot.
I again, want to just say how much I appreciate all of our teams, but in particular, the team that I work with most directly, thinking about Patty and Dell, and Anthony and Simone and Teresa, all the work that you do to support the teams and the process improvements that we have underway. And I don't want to keep going on and on about it, but we don't have successful starts to the school year. We don't have improvements in systems unless people roll up their sleeves and look at those systems. And on a minor note, as I look over that way, I see another improvement, which is our new and official, we had an unofficial flag, but we have our new official Minnesota flag over there in the corner. So I didn't mention that during our facilities report. Thank you, Teresa and team, for getting that done.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, and then member banks?
Yeah, I just have a couple questions related to a couple glitches that I had a couple parents contact me regarding drop-off locations. Is it possible for parents to get the actual schedule of the routes? I would think so. How is that possible? Do they have to do like a FOIA request, or can you make that happen?
It's a unique request, but yes, certainly they could email the transportation department and get a copy of you mean like the entire route, maybe from the school
To the drop-off location
Sure,
for their
yes.
child.
Because they can go into Infinite Campus and see where their bus stop is. And yeah, I mean, absolutely, they wanted to get that information in.
Okay, and I don't believe everything I hear, so there's stuff out there that seems a little murky for me, but it came to me as complaints, and so I don't know if this is a place to talk about that or not, but our kids, especially down in the Central Hillside area, are having some difficulty, according to a couple parents, with one of the bus drivers. And so I don't know where that is or how true it is. There's always three sides to a story, and so I'm only hearing one side. And so I just want to make sure people are aware that that's out there.
I appreciate that feedback. Again, the start to the school year overall for transportation was really, really well done and went off without a hitch in terms of that. And then like every beginning of the school year, there's a couple issues that we have to address immediately, with students, and so those have been addressed. And if there's something specific, we do encourage them to contact the transportation department so that we can resolve those issues quickly. And if they feel like they're not getting a response from the transportation department, they can always contact Simone Zonich, who oversees them. So I would encourage those families or individuals who have concerns, please, reach out to us so we can address them.
And that's exactly what I said to them. Contact the transportation department and request what it is that you want or desire for your student's route, and they'll help you.
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely. So it's been excellent. So I just wanted to let you know that that's out there, and I was contacted by 2 people. So
Thank you.
Yep.
No, that's great, and anytime you want, feel free to forward an email to us or anything along those lines too. Interesting, related to the bus routing, had a referendum passed, we would have had iPads on each of the buses, which would have tracked the buses, so parents would know in real time exactly where the bus is as far as pick up and drop off. But that might be something that down the road, when we have more ample resource that we consider.
I appreciate you pointing that out, Superintendent Angus, because that really would have been a nice
Would have been a nice
opportunity for families, absolutely, and maybe we can look at that down the line. I was just gonna say, I haven't had a lot of issues with my kids haven't had a lot of issues on the bus, but a few years ago, one of my kids was getting bullied on the bus, and I contacted the district and Voyager and just got really good, just a fast response, really good feedback, felt good as a parent. My student thought that was addressed right away, so I feel like they're pretty good at kind of helping address those things.
While we're on transportation, just a very, very brief for the public as well as the board update on how things are going with the transportation drop-off and pick-up switch at Lowell Elementary. It seems that things are running quite smoothly, more smoothly than we anticipated. The drop-off and pickup times are usually about 5 minutes less, or so about shorter by about 5 minutes. And there's still kinks that we're working out and trying to make sure things are improved. But we believe things are going well and progressing well. Barnes Road has been resurfaced, and they just finished that today. So we're hopeful that things will go well, and there'll be some additional news coverage tomorrow. So that is something that we, a continuous improvement area that we continue to focus on.
And one more thing, if I may.
Yes, please.
So I sit on the Transportation Hazard Safety Committee, and I have not received anything regarding upcoming meetings. Is there somebody in the Transportation Department that I should talk to directly about the schedule for meetings, or will there be any meetings? Does anybody know that?
That meeting is going to be reinstated. I just spoke with our transportation manager about that. I believe it has not been quite active, but we are going to reactivate it. And that has expressly come from Transportation Manager Jeremy Casapitas. He really wants that committee to be to meet again. So stay tuned.
Thank you.
Great, do you have any other questions? Great, moving on, all right. We have 2 recommended resolutions. The first one is the acceptance of donations to the Duluth Public Schools. And feel free to peruse that list. We have a lot for unity in our community. Lester Park for backpacks, a field trip for students from Lincoln Park, backpacks for kids at Piedmont, also money for the book vending machine, which is a big deal at Piedmont Elementary. We also have some donations for a Study 2 classroom, and then we also have a 2012 Dodge Grand Cherokee, Caravan that will be auctioned off when the repairs are completed. That came from Lifehouse, so we want to lift up Lifehouse and thank them for everything they do. That's great, okay. The next we have is our maximum levy certification, and I'm just gonna ask Executive Director Simone Zunish to take some time and explain how we levy for school districts and how that looks different from levies for city and county.
Thank you. A school levy is quite unique. We cannot set our own levy. We get information about property taxes. Every August, I go in and I go into the summer levy portal, and I can essentially only enter updated debt information, any severance, OPEB severance information, and our leases. And then MDE takes that information and formalizes that with our property information that comes from the city, and that's how we get our levy. I did get our first run just yesterday, but the email came from MDE said, we still don't have it up, the debt, leases, ADMs, and nothing's updated. There's still 4 major things updated. So what we do, in September, we come to you as we do every year. We ask you to approve the maximum levy amount. And then in December, we will present the actual levy to you. And then we set that amount, and you'll be able to see exactly what the dollars are. And yeah, so schools are unique. We cannot go in, and I know sometimes the mayors and whatnot, like, oh, we want to keep it set at 2% or 8%. We don't have that ability. We literally are at the mercy of property taxes and debt that we have incurred, how many enrollments we're going to have. So all that information is formulated by the Department of Education.
So I think the big takeaway point from when we think about how school districts levy versus how cities and counties levy is that somebody tells us what we can levy, and cities and counties have the discretion to make those decisions on their own.
That is correct. There is one formula for long-term facility maintenance that when we do our 10-year plan, and if we don't get the projects done in the year that we say we're going to, that can cause a correction the following year. So that can impact our levy up or down. So the MD watches all of that as well. We have to enter actual information. So if we say there's a facilities project for $5 million in year 23-24, and we only complete half of it, or we never did it, they will give us an adjustment the following year. So you can essentially lose that money. So in our facility, we try really hard to maintain a tight schedule there. It never has really swung that much, but that's really the only thing that can swing our levy up and down. Post the pandemic, supply chains, we couldn't get supplies to complete projects. So that did negatively impact our levy, but for the most part, that's it.
So we know in the news right now, we're seeing a lot about what the county and the city are doing, and we are also in the midst of figuring out what our levy is, but we essentially take the levy that is told to us by the Minnesota Department of Education, build our budget with the number of students, and then move forward from there.
Correct.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Great, so we will come back to this at the full school board meeting. Okay. Moving on to things that we have on the consent agenda, we have the HR staffing report that you can take a look at, and then we also have a job description. I'll hand it back over to Executive Director Selly so that she can talk about this description for the van driver.
Thank you. Yes, this is a new job description in our transportation department. And as you can see from the attachment, we have already negotiated pay with the union. They are happy to have this position, and this will help to support ongoing needs for student transportation. It will be based out of our transportation department, so not necessarily at the school sites, because we know we have those great new vans for all the schools. This really will be a person in a position that will have the van on a regular piece of transportation, whereas the school sites are utilizing that for missed purposes and some other various reasons, but this would actually be a transportation department employee or one or more. So.
Great, do we have any questions on either of the job descriptions on the consent agenda, the van driver or the network admin engineer?
Is there an hourly rate for this? I didn't see it when I read it earlier.
It is,
I might have missed it.
It's pay grade 7, so it's up in the top part of the job description. You'll be hopefully approving the updated contract for that group later this month, but I can tell you the current rate of pay. Give me just 1 minute. So the current rate of pay to start would be $19.64 an hour, and then again is under the current contract.
Sure.
So it's higher than that, of course, with the upcoming contract, but.
Yeah, thank you.
Great, do we have any other questions? All right, moving on to the FY24 employee harassment complaints report, and what that report shows is that there were 10 complaints received and 10 complaints resolved. So is this a state reporting requirement? I can't remember.
I believe this is the one that is a requirement. I believe this is one that is a requirement.
Okay.
That's why it comes
To
the board.
Perfect. Great. Okay, and then lastly on the consent agenda, we'll have the 2024, 2025 hourly rates. Here you can see where we've made changes here in hopes of making some of these jobs more desirable for our community, and we can get them in the doors to help support kids. Are there anything you'd like to point out, Executive Director Sarah? Anything we should pay special attention to?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that the only changes that we're seeking are the ones that are highlighted in red. And the bulk of that is really to try to keep up with not only the demand, but also kind of keep it in scale with our negotiated contracts and to attract employees to want to work in those positions.
Great. Do we have any questions on the hourly rates? Great. Moving on, we have our fundraiser under finance. We have our financial report. Executive Director Zunich, is there anything we should be looking at here?
Not at this time. There has been an adjustment to our special education revenue, so we will, I'll be revising the budget, not formally, but you'll see an increase, probably in revenue in the general fund. Our audit is still active. Our auditors will be on site in 2 weeks, and we're actively moving through that process.
And I did sign that release of information. So.
Thank you.
Good. All right. And is this just because it's early in the school year? Usually we see that activities fund. Is that coming back? Or is that different?
I can. Would you like to see it?
No, it's just,
It was there because we had a board member several years ago that looked for that information, but the student activity accounts are embedded in general fund, but it's so simple for us to pull it out. If you'd like to see it, it's not a problem. You see revenue and expenses?
Sure. Okay, that's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, and then now, so that is part, next we have fundraisers, and we have some fundraisers. Look at Denfeld football though, and East football for some fundraisers that they had. Girls soccer, also volleyball as well, girls soccer, all those fall sports coming in to raise money for their programs. Home craft student activities, they had a fun run through the booster-a-thon, that sounds like fun. Lakewood 5th grade class for calendar sales, Stowe, school-wide continuous Wolf Ridge Fund where they were selling beef sticks, that's awesome. So those are our fundraiser reports for the month of August. Do we have any questions over those? All right, now for the fun time, I'm talking about this bid for black and white print shop copiers. Is that you, Simone?
Yeah.
All right, let's hear about it.
This is our housekeeping for the black and white printers in the print shop. Terry McEwen worked carefully with Kathy Holman, and Great Lakes Office Solutions came in at the lowest amount. And let's see, we're going to our two RFPs were open, the other one being Marco. And It's just a housekeeping item, so they continue to use the big printer over there.
Great, thank you. And then we have a and then as we look at contract change orders and leases, we have a change order for the demo reconciliation for the DNT building, and then a change order for the CWD consult engineer, which is filling in for a position that we're having difficulty hiring for. Yep, okay, perfect. Is there anything about the demo reconciliation for the DNT building that we need to be aware of?
I think the only thing to note is that it's actually a decrease. It's a change order decrease rather than an increase. And that's simply because of some of the potential design we are still working on with the final product, or what the final project is actually going to look like. So there's been some delay in deciding that. And so the demo only came to the certain point and the contract was getting ready to complete. So there will be additional demo costs, but not part of this contract. They'll just be billed directly to the district.
Great, thank you. Do we have any questions on this demo reconciliation for the DNT building? Great, and then any questions on the CWD consulting engineer? Great, all right, and lastly, we move on to the first thing was the Amazon increase in services. I read through this, it was just a little confusing. Can anybody take a minute and walk us through it?
Yes, I did. Let me find it here.
55, page 55.
Okay, I had to remind myself what this was. So we had a wonderful school employee that did some work and received an Amazon gift card. Because it was for the school district, we could not allow it to go directly to the employee, so it was brought to the district. And Kathy does great detailed work. And anytime this happens going forward, we just ask that they work with Kathy Holman on it, and it will be set aside specifically for that. Because we can't take gift cards to ourselves when we do work for other people. And not that they didn't ask that way either. So the employee was super upfront about it and just said, I was able to got a gift card, can I use it at Amazon? So Kathy had to work with Amazon on how to set that up. So there's a direct pay group now within the Amazon Business Services, which by the way has been so successful. We're setting up more vendors, even what we call them punch outs. And that information is going to be going out this week to the sites. We're adding more and more vendors. It's a process through Skyward even, so it all works together. It's called punch out. That's
Great. Do we have any questions? Great, thank you for that clarification, Executive Director. As we move on to our expenditure contracts, we see that CWD technology as we are looking for some network engineer services, Lake Superior College for some college and school services, National Audio Video, Blackbird Revolt, which is a great name, TFS Results, Fuel Education Renaissance, Duluth Family YMCA, Booster, just a number of expenditure contracts for this month. Do we have any questions on those? Great, moving on to, where am I at? Moving on to my no-cost contracts. Getting there. We have one no-cost contract with SMDC Medical Center. The SMDC Medical Center will provide the district support at its Amberwing facility for the 2024-2025 school year. And then lastly, Simone and Kelly's favorite kind of contract, a revenue contract. I shouldn't say that's just us, everybody's favorite contract, right? St. Louis County for Family and Transition for the transportation of children and youth in the foster care placement for the 2024-2025 school year. St. Louis County and Duluth Public Schools will split the cost for these services. And then lastly, we have a couple amazing grants to talk about for this month. We have a grant with Deborah Hanu and Emily Umans for the Duluth Public School Visual and Media Arts. $92,000 over 2 years. This grant opportunity sounds great. It's to work as, with MDE as a cohort for culturally responsive arts education. This looks fantastic. And then also MDE grant for Christina Boynton and Rosalind Kendrick. Another grant to lift up student voices in the elementary art classroom by incorporating more tools for reflection and writing and video artist statements, providing art show, all sorts of great things for our elementary school kids. The Ordine Foundation at Piedmont to provide sensory equipment to support both special education and general education from Jason Goulet, and then also Boya Unsung Heroes from Mr. Goulet, Piedmont, anywhere from $2,000 to $25,000 to provide some more sensory supports equipment for students of all ages at Piedmont Elementary. Do we have any questions on any of our grant applications?
Just one, Member Dirk Peter, I thought the pizza contract was your favorite.
That is my favorite. I do love the pizza contract.
Is it square pizza?
That's the best kind. Do we have any other questions?
No, that was a rhetorical question.
I know, it is my favorite contract. I think that's everything for our September HR Business Services Committee meeting. We are officially adjourned at 5:17 p.m. Thank you, everybody.